Hi everyone, my name is Francesca Ferrando and I'm very excited to be talking with you today about the posthuman, politics and glocal justice. Just a little parenthesis here, what do we mean by glocal? By glocal we mean the existence, the cohabitation of local specificities in a globalized world. So very important here to emphasize the local within the global. And I'm going to use both terms, both local and global. So my main argument is that in the 21st century, we must take into account a post-humanist and post-anthropocentric approach to address the topic of justice in a comprehensive and fulfilling way. In the first part of the talk, we have addressed the notion of the posthuman, defined as a transhumanist and posthumanist. We clarify what is transhumanism and what transhumanists bring into the conversation when we think of politics. In the second part of my talk, we defined what is posthumanism as a post-humanism and a post/anthropocentrism. The third way to define the posthumanism is post-dualism. So let's clarify what we mean by post-dualism and also what does posthumanism offer to the topic of politics and global justice. Post-dualism. We exist in a material net in which everything is actually connected and potentially interacting. A network of energies, alliances, waves, reflections, diffractions. Bradotti, for instance, brings to the discourse the idea of subjectivity as an assemblage that includes non-human agents. We can also place the posthuman in the notion of the hybrid through Donna Haraway. The hybrid is that place that has no origin. Think again of the notion of the cyborg. It's the creation of the existence of the cyborg is already a hybrid. It's a connection of the notion of cybernetic and organism. So the posthuman begins its reflection from this hybrid ontological acknowledgement, destabilizing the limits and symbolic borders posed by the notion of the human. Ultimately, posthumanism challenges biocentrism, sentiocentrism, and vitalism, blurring the boundaries between the animate and inanimate in a quantum approach to the physics of existence. Within this frame, the human is perceived not as a single agent, but as a part of semiotic, material, rhizomatic, multidimensional network. In this frame, the notion of justice expands to include not only the environment, but also the techno-realm. And here, when we're thinking of post-dualism, is really to think of beyond the human just as a species, just as a notion that is cultural, but also something that is material. And again, quantum physics here can really help us understanding this notion with ideas that everything is moving, is dynamic, is shifting, everything is co-existing and co-creating the other entity. So there is not ultimate otherness. We are in constant movement, in dynamic waves, in the material network of existence. And that's why we can really think of technology in this new frame and think of, for instance, the pictures depicted in this slide. At the center, we have Sophia, the world's first robot citizen. She was granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia in October 25th, 2017. We have then on the upper part Kevin Warwick, who is considered the first cyborg since he introduced a microchip that he actually has in his hands right there in his nervous system, really opening the boundaries between biology and technology. Then we see on the down part the drones, the RQ-1 drones that were used by the United States in the Middle East, with actually causing a high number of civilian deaths, and also an artistic representation of robots, which is the beautiful sand statue that we see on the other side of the drone, where we see a drone, where we see a robot that is actually nourishing a human baby. And of course, on the top part, smile, you are on camera, video surveillance 24 hours, the idea of technology that is constantly watching us. This idea of the fact that for some of us, technology is so important that it's creating who we are. I am being watched, therefore I am. This is a new revisitation of technology, social media visibility as related to self-identity. I exist because other people see me, which can also lead to technologies of control, of course, and also at the oblivion of digital privacy. So let's go back for a moment to the robot that is fascinating our era so much that, again, Saudi Arabia is giving citizenship to Sophia, the robot at the very center of this slide. The robot is becoming the new other, to fascinate human, but also creating this fear about AI taking over. Are robots going to take over? Are a robot going to kill us? And who is this us? Of course, us as humans. There are many people talking about the fear of AI taking over. We can think, for instance, of Stephen Hawking. We can think of Elon Musk. So on one side, we can see the robot that is being otherized, that is becoming the new other, the technological scapegoat, falling into the dualistic paradigm which has historically characterized hegemonic accounts. So in the history you can see again master and slave, colonizer and colonized, white and black, women and men. And now you see another dualistic approach, which is us and them, us humans and them, the robots, the others. So this is a problem from a posthumanist approach. The posthumanist approach, post-dualistic approach, may allow humans and robots to fully develop their interconnected potentials, eventually facilitating an original interspecies venture into the existential quest. More than a functional tool, technology arrives to the posthumanist debate through the mediation of Heidegger. That is why technology is seen as a mode of revealing, dismantling the boundary between technology and ontology, between technology and biology, and finally between technology and the self. And here we can also bring into the discussion Foucault with the notion of technologies of the self. We are always creating ourselves through technologies of the self. So what is posthumanism offering to the political arena? Why do we need to bring posthumanism into the conversation? Well, the contribution of posthumanism to glocal justice is urgent, to develop a praxis of justice based on global and glocal coexistence instead of mutual agreement, a social justice based on equity instead of equality. The way the majority of current human societies are performing their material interacting in this world is actually based on anthropocentric habits and anthropocentric premises, which are leading to a point of non-return in ecological, social, and political terms. In the era of the Anthropocene, of technological unemployment and robot citizenship, posthumanists bring to the discussion crucial notions such as post-anthropocentrism, post-dualism, interconnection, and non-human agency. With its focus on both diversity and relationality, posthumanism allows to investigate the interference of global and local, which is glocal, the interference of global and local. We are in this planet together, but we are different. Monism and pluralism coexisting. With its post-dualistic approach, posthumanism informs a praxis which goes beyond anthropocentrism, intersecting social, environmental, and technological justice. While environmental justice includes the fair treatment of all people, regardless of race, color, nation, origin, or income, with respect to the development of environmental policies, Technological justice does not only address internet as a human right, but at the same time addresses the planetary right to sustainable technologies. So we cannot think only of justice from a human perspective, but also from a planet perspective, creating, for instance, sustainable technologies that are not harming our environment. Posthuman politics offer a different way to access the notion of justice, in tune with non-Western, non-hegemonic accounts, such as the notion of Earth democracy by Vandana Shiva, the non-dual spiritual politics of Buddhist tradition, and, between many others, for instance, the animistic approach of robotics of Japanese Shintoism. On the other side, while the fields of biotechnology constantly evolves with the new genetic editing technology, while the politics of surrogate gestational motherhood constantly shift and evolve in developing countries such as India and Ukraine, democratic transhumanism becomes a precious perspective to understand the intricate merging of technology, globalization, and development. This is why, in the 21st century, we need to bring both posthumanism and transhumanism into the political arena. So thank you so much for your kind attention. I'm looking forward to develop this conversation with you and to the Q&A. And thanks again for this wonderful invitation. And hi to everyone in Manila and the Philippines.